How you doing, guys, today? Welcome to yet another episode of our show. And our show is called The Journey with Papa Jadenka. And on our show, like you all know, we talk to someone who is on a journey and has been doing good at whatever they do. And today we have a very amazing personality we want to discuss with. And no time. So let's see if we can get Dr. Boffone to join us. Hi, Dr. Boffone.
Hey, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Boffone.
Boffone. Nice to meet you, Dr. Boffone. And so your first name is Trevor. So can I call you Trevor?
Yeah,
I think that's easier. It's such a pleasure to have you here on the show today. I really enjoyed going through the articles about you. When I read about your story, it was something that really piqued my interest. And I'm like, this is someone I would really love to, share his journey. And so that all the people out there can see and understand the kind of person you are and how they can benefit from what you do. So I don't want to talk too much. I want you to do all the talking as much as you can. And I'll go straight to the first question, which is, who is Dr. Boffone, or who's Trevor? And just tell us a little about yourself.
Well, so I live in Houston, Texas, but I'm from New Orleans, and I am a high school Spanish teacher at Bel Air High School. But I also do a bunch of other things. So I have a PhD in Latinx literature and theater. So I do all sorts of scholarly things, and I teach at the University of Houston as well at night sometimes, like a few days a week. And then I also have this Instagram account, right, where I dance with my students, and I feature the way we, work together, build community, collaboration through dance, right, with students. And so because of that, I've, had this world of opportunity, right, that's happening, which is why we're having this conversation as well.
That's right.
But I mean, in terms of who I am, I think I'm an extreme optimist. I always look at the right side of things. I always think there's a way to make things better. And I think oftentimes that happens for me through getting to know people better and learning how we can all, work together to benefit everyone, and
That's right. From what you do, you expressing the fact that you are an extreme optimist. I see that in your lifestyle. Because, when someone goes through your profile, they can tell that this person is a happy person. It's someone who finds joy or derives joy in doing what he does. And so what is it that gives you so much joy, that makes you enjoy your profession this much?
Well, I think, so I feel like I've always, the things you see, right, on Instagram, on whatever social media, you're really getting the authentic Trevor, right? The authentic Dr. Boffone. But I think what you're really seeing is me I'm 34, right? I'm 34 years old, but I'm at a place where I'm like fully comfortable being myself, and I'm not, I don't really care what people think about me.
That's right.
There's the phrase, dance like nobody's watching.
Exactly.
I felt like for the first like 30 years of my life, I like policed that, right? I was mindful of that. When I walked into the classroom, I was trying to be someone I wasn't, maybe,
Right.
Now I feel like I'm just I'm authentic. I'm more authentic. I'm more raw. I'm living my truth. And because of that, you see the joy, right?
That's right.
That's why people are drawn to my work, drawn to the Instagram, because they see the authenticity, right? It's not me trying to be someone I'm not. It's not me trying to fit in with my students in a cringy way. It's really about authenticity and building relationships in that sort of way.
Amazing. Now, the fact that you're authentic means you enjoy what you do, because, when the authenticity shows, you do what you love, you enjoy doing it, and then people can also relate with the fact that they can see that you enjoy doing what you do.
Right, yeah.
And they're drawn to you that way, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I get a lot of DMs, direct messages, and people will make comments like that, right? Like, your videos inspired me to be myself, to dance, to post myself, to not worry about what people say about it, just to celebrate who I am, right?
Very true. Thank you so much. And a lot of people who on social media today, I personally noticed, before they became who they are on social media, not everybody has that full confidence to come out and be what they really are. And this is
Yeah.
one thing I must commend you for, because when people look at you being the person you are and being able to show this aspect of your life, just freely, people enjoy watching you. And the fact that you're able to do this makes them feel confident also that they can come out and do what they have to do to make people happy, right?
Yeah, well, I was reading about this yesterday or this morning about how when the internet came out, right, and when social
Right.
media came out, it was very much about creating like a different identity, like a better version of
Of
yourself,
yourself. That's true.
right? And I think now there's a trend towards people, like my students on Instagram or whatever they're on, it's themselves, right? It's not a different version of who they are. It's just a digital version, right? Uh,
Right.
so for me, I try to live that truth, right?
Awesome. So where did you grow up, like originally?
Yeah, so I'm from New Orleans, born and raised. I moved to Philadelphia for a few years for grad school, and then I moved back to New Orleans, and then I moved to Houston, Texas in 2012, which is where I live.
Wow. So it's been
So
a
I've
journey for you.
yeah.
That's amazing. And your profession right now, why did you choose out of all professions what you do right now? Why did you choose to be, that person you are as a high school teacher? And,
So my mother was a teacher, and so my father also went to school for education, and my sister did as well. They didn't
right.
end up, but I grew up in a family that supported educators, and um, like even my mom, she taught during the week, and then on Sundays she taught Sunday school at church. Uh,
Okay.
and so like they were always teaching, and so I feel like I grew up in a space that um, showed me what value educators have, right? And so I just always took a liking to that, right? And so in school, I always looked for leadership positions, in high school, clubs, and that continued on through college. And it was just something I always wanted to do. I don't know that I always thought of myself as a high school teacher,
Right.
but I always thought of myself as working with people in some capacity in that way, right? So I feel like if told 15-year-old Trevor
Right.
I don't think I'd be surprised, but it also isn't where I necessarily imagined, right?
Right. But the good thing is you enjoy doing what you do right now, which is the most important thing.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the right place. I mean, I feel like I'm in the right place right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean,
Of
not
sense.
quarantine, but
I get it.
but yeah.
That's a lot of sense. So, what is your brand as the person you are? We all are brands of our own.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what your profession is, and the fact that we all, have a social media account that brings it out there to other people who see us from different parts of the world. Right now, people from West Africa, North Africa are watching you. People from Europe, people from,
right.
and then you represent a brand that people really want to be able to relate with. So what does your brand or journey represent?
Well, I think I'm primarily known as a teacher, right?
Right.
As the dancing teacher, and I think what that brand, what my identity really represents, I think the reason that people are drawn to it is because what I'm doing. And first of all, I want to say like there's people all over the world who do what I'm doing,
Right.
right? Happen to be someone with a larger platform. It doesn't mean that my work is more important or that it's better or whatever, what it.
Right.
But that said, what we're doing, what people like me do, is we're pushing against the way that we're supposed to do school, right?
Right.
Like the
Right.
things that my students do are not things that they're told that they're supposed to do, or that the system like allows, right? And so I think
Mm-hmm.
drawn to that, right? They're drawn to that, and it's not like we're being rebellious or like pushing against the system. Is in my classes I really try to privilege my students' identities, right? And I try to bring those cultures and those identities into the space, right? Sure.
Right.
And that's what dictates the content, right? So this isn't necessarily me saying like we're gonna do this, like we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do this song and this dance. It's really
Right.
saying like, hey, like I saw this, or let's make a dance to this song, and that's what you see. And so I think that the brand is really this like interesting space where people are seeing, if you watch, you see it's me and then primarily students of color, primarily Black.
Exactly.
They have, you know, this dichotomy, this like difference between identities. We come from different places,
Right.
world of differences, but we're finding a commonality through dance, right? Which enables us to do stronger work in the classroom. So I think that's what the brand is. Maybe a little long-winded way to say it, but I think that's what draws people in.
Very awesome. You know, when I was reading about your article, the article where you wrote about you allowing your students feel ownership of the room, you know,
Yeah.
it's something that really resonates with, you know, a whole lot of people. Because come to think about it, your teacher, that means you're a leader. You're someone people look up to.
Right.
And then it's natural for students sometimes, you know, not to be too open with the person they look up to, you know, because they just want to be the best version of themselves, so to say.
Right.
But then because you're able to give them ownership of the room, of where they belong, and they see that they have this ownership, then they're drawn to do even better and be a better version of themselves, which explains what you really said about, you know, the internet when it came out and people thinking, oh, I have to be this upgraded version on social media, and then I have to be this person back home. And the narrative is really changing right now, because if, you know, people who share the best content are people that show who they really are. And this is what people are attracted to right now. So is there a story about you that you don't get to tell people that often that you can share with us right now?
So I've told this story a few places, but I feel like it gets lost, right? But so when I started, right now I work at Bel Air High School in Houston.
Right.
My second school year there. So I started in August 2018. And on the first day so before the students come, we have a teacher in service, right? Where we do workshops and professional development. And on the first day of that, in 2018, my dad died, right?
Oh,
so I was starting a new job. I've been in education for 12 years, but I wasn't a full-time classroom teacher.
Right.
Before then. I mean, I was before, but I went to grad school, I taught university, I did all sorts of things.
Right.
Well, anyway, my dad, though, unexpectedly died, right? And so I started, and I ended up going to school late. When I got there, I was super burnt out. I was tired.
Right.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do education anymore.
Right.
I wanted to move back to New Orleans to be closer to my family. It just really threw like a wrench in my life, right?
Right.
And my students didn't know this, of course. I didn't really talk about it, and because of that, I feel like I wasn't being myself in the classroom, and I wasn't finding joy in my job. And so what happened was, a few months later is when Dove Smash rebranded, relaunched as this dance app. My students were on it. They invited me to dance with them. They saw that I was interested, and I started dancing with my students, and that made me fall in love with my job again, right? They were able to bring this joy out, right? Wow. And so there's, that's a story that I think often gets lost, is that really what you're seeing, what you saw, the reason you asked me to do this, is really the result of my students. It's student-led, and it saved me, right? Like I don't know what I was going to do. I was going to go like quit education and go work at like whatever. I was like, anything else, I just need a fresh start.
Right.
And my gave me the fresh start in a different way that I never saw coming,
Right. And probably if you had gone to, change your career or whatever it was, it definitely won't give you the satisfaction that you're getting right now, because this is what you really love to do.
No, I'm having a great time,
That's right.
But it happens, you find sometimes joy comes from the most unexpected places,
Very true. Very, very true. It's amazing that your students were able to, bring this back into your life, right?
And I mean, they had no clue. They didn't know, because they had never met me, so they didn't know like who I actually was. But really, and this was, I was already finding that joy before I went viral.
Right.
Or Good Morning America. Like we were already having a great time,
Right. That's amazing. So was there ever a time in your life where you just talked a little about it, but I want you to like elaborate a little further, where you thought, oh, I don't think I'm going to make it in this profession right now, and I just want to quit. What happened when it happened to you during that period of time? Like, what was in your head? Because I'm asking this question because there are a lot of people who go through the same thing you have been through, and then they can learn from this and, apply the positive into their lives. And when they are faced with such challenges, they know just how to, cope with these challenges and, forge ahead. So can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about that time when you thought you were not going to make it? What was one thing in your head that really gave you the push to keep going?
Well, I think maybe it's not the answer what you're asking, but I think what I always tell people is it really for me was a matter of finding something to take my mind off the bad
Right.
stuff. So for me, I'm a writer. I feel like my first identity I feel like is writing. Like,
Okay.
so I just would write every day, right? Whatever it was, in the mornings or during a break or when I got right. Being creative, right? And then it became dancing, and then it became writing and dancing. And
Right.
I wrote a book about all of this. I wrote a memoir. I'm still trying to find a publisher.
Okay.
But it very much deals with this conversation and writing that, like telling the story, talking about my dad and I, talking about my students really helped me to figure out what was going on, and it helped me to kind of push through. So what I always tell people is just to find that place of creativity for you,
Right.
and to find the support system, right? Whether it's an online support system,
Right.
or people in your friends, right?
Right.
Who know the way that you need to heal. So like for me, I don't like people like bringing up
Right.
stuff. So for instance, like the on the 1 year anniversary of when my dad died, I was having like a normal day. I woke up, I didn't look at
Think about it.
and then all of a sudden I started getting text messages
I
from
get it.
and family who were trying to be like nice, right? They were trying to be comforting, but what it did was it resurfaced the trauma, and it kept relive it in a way that I didn't necessarily want to relive, right? And so I think, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done that, but what I'm saying is to find the people that give you what you need, right? So while I didn't enjoy that, my brother and my mom liked that,
Right.
that helped them to process, right?
But it didn't help you.
Right. So I think also it's a matter of being vocal about what you need. Like, hey, like I need space, or I need
Right.
to go exercise or play sports or be creative, right? So finding whatever that is and being vocal about prioritizing it, right? And not being afraid to prioritize it.
Thank you so much for explaining that. That makes a lot of sense. It also, makes me see things in a very different, light, because like you said, you find something that really works for you. So if it might be something someone else is trying to do that's a positive thing,
Yeah.
but it might not resonate with you at that moment, and it might not make you feel like you want to feel. And so you have to shift and try to see something else that's going to make you feel better as a person.
Oh, totally.
And that's a good thing. So what are some obstacles or challenges that you faced during your journey of being a writer, being a high school teacher, and being an author?
Yeah, some obstacles. I think time. I think the thing I don't like about my job is that, I mean, right now it's a very different period. But
Right.
School year, I think it's the days are just really long, and right. So I think, and I get it. Like we're in school, like you can't do anything about the school day, and like you're stuck to a room. But I think if we had less school, shorter classes, longer breaks in the day, everyone would be operating at a higher capacity.
Very true.
Do more, right?
Very true.
I don't remember what the question was. The obstacle, right? So sometimes I feel like I don't have enough time to do all the things I want to do. Like I want to be able to serve my students, but I also want to go. What I really want to do is to to teach other teachers about what I'm doing. But if I do that, then I'm not in my classroom,
Right.
Job, right? Which is also this like fundamental part of my identity, right? Like I'm a teacher, right? Everyone knows me as a teacher.
Right.
I also like teaching, and I also need to like pay the bills, right?
Right.
So it's a bit complicated. So I feel like if I could have twice as much time, that would make things easier. And I think another obstacle is just like patience. I think for me, I'm a person that always I get impatient because I want to see results quick.
Right.
Right. Like I write a book and I'm like, it needs to come out. I need it published right now. But that's not how publishing works, right? You like pitch it.
Exactly.
So learning how to be patient, that's, learning how to be patient is an obstacle, and also like trying to manage my time better.
That makes sense. So how have, by the way, have, other teachers you've been trying to, show what you do and, teach what you do, how have they responded so far? Like when you offer that to them?
Yeah, so I've done a few like professional development workshops for teachers. I did one in September in Houston for about like 50 teachers, which was really
Wow.
cool. And people have been, just responded really well. And I think what happens is, and I have a lot of teachers who follow me as well. If you're on here, hello.
Right.
And I think, right now the thing that's, I don't want to say it's hot in education, but the big talking point is culturally responsive teaching.
Right.
And, finding ways in the curriculum to bring in identities and students who are not typically seen, right? And how to, talk to people that are different than you, how to work with people who are different than you, right? That's the big thing. And so what people see is they see this like white dude, right? Who,
Right.
right? I mostly work with students of color, and I don't feel like I'm special in any way. I just feel like I've had the training. I have a PhD in, in critical race theory and ethnic studies, right? Like I've
Right.
done community organizing, like I've done the work, and now I'm just doing it in education.
That makes sense.
Those workshops have been really generative and productive. And I sometimes it's just, there's teachers I talk to on Instagram where we DM each other, and we just kind of talk about like, hey, I'm having a bad week, like what's going on, and we just,
Right.
it's just like a sounding board. It's not necessarily me telling them what to do, because again, like I've been doing this 12 years, but there are teachers who are on my hallway who have been doing it for 20 years and who
That
are
makes sense.
not the best teacher in the world. I'm just
That's right.
a famous teacher, right?
That makes sense. Thank you so much for that. So my next question is, in your life right now, currently, what is it that makes you feel the most fulfilled and why?
The most fulfilled. This is an interesting question because I feel like the answer 2 months ago would have been very different.
Right.
Like right now, I feel like every day I'm just trying to get by. Well, I love seeing my students' successes. And I love people who, the thing that I love the most is when people reach out to me or they comment when they talk about my students. That's something I love, because the thing I don't like is when someone sees my profile and it's like, oh, Dr. Boffone, Dr. Boffone, Dr. Boffone. When for me, it's really this community space. And, if you notice in my videos where it's a group of us, I'm always in the back.
I see that.
Students are very much centered and they're in the front. So
Very
I
true.
people notice that, and they see that that's what's happening, right?
Right.
Because I try not to, and I try to model being humble, and my students don't talk about fame, they don't talk about clout, they don't talk about followers. It's not really why we do this, right? And so I love it when people do that. It's about having fun.
Now, the good thing about having fun and doing what you love is whatever comes with it, comes with it.
Yeah, exactly.
The main motive of you doing this thing is to be able to have fun, have, a nice space in your head where you feel good and are able to make other people around you feel good. And that is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that comes with it is okay,
Yeah, and I think when people try to go viral, when they try to get famous, it comes across as not authentic, and people don't like it.
Sure.
I think just by us putting our videos out there, finding joy, having fun together, that's what made everything click.
Very true. Very, very true. You're a very amazing support system for your students, I can tell, and it's beautiful to have a leader out there like you who other people look up to, because we have a younger generation of people who want to do better in their lives. Like you said, you have a whole different kinds of people that you deal with every day, and also you have a variety of students that you work with, and which makes you and I think you mentioned the fact that when you had the PhD, you studied something that has to do with human behavior and all that, and you're able to deal with every ethnic group that you come across or come in touch with. It's not something everybody can do. You get it. So it's an amazing thing that you're doing, and I must commend you for that.
Thank you.
So as far as the pandemic is concerned right now, has that affected your timing with your students, your connection, your dance, and everything?
Yeah. So the thing, I'll answer that in a few different ways. So I get my creativity from my students, right?
Right.
Being around them inspires me. It gives me ideas. It gives me material I want to write about. I want to dance. They teach me how to dance, right? I don't really,
Right.
and so that's the thing I miss the most. And even though like I do have contact with them, they're still doing work.
Right.
It's a very different way. And I see them on Instagram. It just isn't the same, right? Because we're not like in person. And I think
Exactly.
right now the thing I'm missing the most is that in-person socialization, that we have taken for granted, right? So that is something that I'm experiencing. School is still happening. We're not in person the rest of the year,
Okay.
all online, but
Right.
it's not anything they do can only improve their grade. It can't lower their grade.
That makes sense.
It's also, I mean, officially we wouldn't say it's optional, but like they don't have to do it.
Right.
Because again, like I work at a Title I school, so our students, that means about at least half of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, right?
Okay.
But a lot of them are working full time, or their parents might have lost a job and they've become
Right.
a breadwinner, right? So they're dealing with things that are far more complicated than just like high school should be,
That makes sense.
I try to be mindful of that. I do try to dance and keep up with it because it's like a sport, right? If you don't do it, you lose
The
everything.
form.
The form, right? But I took a few weeks off and then I tried to learn to dance and my neck was like super sore. And I was like I felt like I went to like a but I try to so when I finish with you, I'm gonna go work on a dance and then I'm doing a duet with a student.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to connect with them in ways, but it's a little different. And I will say though, like, there's some things that I have not enjoyed from this, right? But
Right.
I have time in a way that I haven't had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck at home.
Right.
I've been reading a lot. I love to read, but during the school year, I don't really read. So I've read, I think, like 8 books already.
Whoa.
And I've been writing every day, and I'm writing a book about this, right?
Right.
About this like digital dancing culture.
Okay.
So that's the second book I'm working on. So I'm having time.
Awesome.
I'm trying to stay busy because when I'm not busy right now, my mind goes to like all the bad things that are happening.
Right.
And
Very
then I
true.
get anxiety and I get stressed.
Right. Right.
So right now I'm able to like kind of forget about it, and I like that.
That's great. That's great. Great to have you here. You said something about your students inspiring you, and that is something I really, really, really picked when you said it. And it's beautiful because when people out there are hearing such a story about a teacher who is so proud about his students and is even telling you how much inspiration he gets from them to do his dance, to do his culture, whatever it is that he does in school, and they keep him going. It's something beautiful that I personally, love. I love someone who, can tell you confidently that, yeah, I'm learning a whole lot from them as much as they learn from me. Because
Oh
not
yeah,
everybody's as humble as you are. Trust me.
yeah, and I think that's the thing is like the way that you're taught to be a teacher is that you have to be the expert, that they can't, and if you don't position yourself as an expert,
Right.
then you're vulnerable, right? Or the students don't respect you as much. But like the way, my classes this year, the first week I put them in like little listening, talking
Okay.
circles.
Groups.
And I asked them like, hey, what are you listening to? What are you watching on TV? Like, what are the artists, the rappers that you're interested in?
Right.
On the board, and they leave, and then I take a picture, right?
Wow.
And I'm the artists to listen to, right? These are the songs. These are the TV shows I need to be aware of because that's a classroom, right? And so, they're teaching me as much as I'm teaching them.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I think the thing that I really push is school does not have to be all about like curriculum, right?
Right.
It's all about, because think about it, like you and I, like I don't know how old you are, but I don't remember anything from school. Like I don't remember like biology. No,
I get it. I get what you mean.
your memories of school they're about the socialization. They're about the style of learning. They're about learning to be yourself, right? Learning how to learn. But you don't remember the Putnam school.
You're very correct. Very correct.
I don't remember that. But what my students are going to remember is the way we work together, the experiences we're having, that sort of thing.
And that's amazing. That's something they never will forget.
Right, right.
You know, you just brought up a very beautiful point because right now when I think about, you know, being in school, going through the schooling system and everything, the curriculum, and it was all about something that I really wasn't. You know, I was
Yeah.
trying so hard and learning so hard to be who I wasn't, and at the end of the day, I had to, you know, turn to what I love to do, which
Yeah.
is what keeps me going right now. And it's a beautiful thing that you are able to, you know, create this kind of, you know, sphere that people are able to notice and be like, okay, this is something he loves doing. I want to be like this person. I want to do something I love, and I want to continue doing what I do because it gives me joy, not just because I want to make, you know, the money from it, or I want to be
Right.
able to, because that's one of the most reasons people go into doing things that they do today is for the money.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, yes, we need to pay the bills and all that. But I always say something about you doing what you love. It ends up being what pays you the most
Yeah.
because it comes naturally, and then you just become that brand that other people try to look up to, and you're exemplary, so other people are going to follow through. So my next question for you will be, how do you explain to someone out there, because we have a whole lot of young leaders out there who are looking up to people like you. We have entrepreneurs who, you know, are starting a business, who are starting a brand on IG, who don't know what to do, how to go about this. What can you tell them about dreams? I know dreams come in very different forms and visions. You know, people envision things differently. But whatever it is they're focused on doing, how valid are those things, and how can they make them work?
Well, I think I don't want to say any dream is valid because the dreams could be quite negative, right? But I think like, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a dancer, a musician, if you want to just be a motivational speaker, right? I think all of those things have value, right? And I think the thing that has been helpful for me, and the thing I tell people, is to find your supporters, right? So,
Right,
you know, everyone, no matter who you are, even if you're Beyonce, like Beyonce still, I'm sure, has days where she like has self-doubt, right? Like
right,
the song isn't good, or I'm not dancing the way I did when I was 20, right? Uh,
exactly.
but Beyonce has her squad, right? Her
Right,
support system. And so I think everyone needs to find that support system. And it doesn't have to be family or friends. It could be people you meet online. So like for me,
exactly.
some of my biggest, the people I really draw the most support from are people I've never met before, right? I've met through Instagram. I've met through Twitter, right? And
Right,
you know, I have some really great friends I've met through Twitter actually, like years ago, and then we met in person, you know,
right,
down the line, and they've become like these bedrocks for me, right? That have, no matter what I've done, whether it's you know, this stuff or teaching or like writing a book, like they've supported my work, right? Because again, it's not about the work; it's about the person, right? So
true.
those people that can support you, um, and also you be supportive of other people's work, right? I think the thing that people often miss is that this isn't a solo. Your life is not a solo experience, right?
Very true. Very
Um,
true.
so you know, as much as I'm asking of other people, I need to be giving twice as much,
That's right.
right? So like, you know, if you're a poet, don't just invite everyone to your open mic nights, or not open mic, but your poetry performances, or ask people to buy your book. Like, you need to buy their book, you need to read their book, or
Very true.
go to other events as well.
Very true. Very
Uh,
true.
Pay it
So
forward.
very, very true. That makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you so much for, you know, your expressions. Your expressions are really touching the heart, and they're really encouraging because I can trust me. I can tell you this confidently. There are a whole lot of people out there who are saying great things about you. I've been reading through the comment section. People saying, "Oh, I wish you were my teacher." You
Right.
know, people, you know, showing a whole lot of love and saying. Somebody just asked a question. Are you gonna do a TikTok dance on here, please? That's right. And going through the comment section, we can see a whole lot of people love what you do, and you're, you know, able to appeal to a whole lot of students out there. Now, one thing I personally believe is because we belong to this generation that we really want to shape in our own way. Because I remember like 20, 30 years ago, things were not the way it is right now. Now we
Right.
can see a big shift in the way things are being done in the world. Right now, social media, and we're even discussing right now, and you can even do a dance with your students, you know, through TikTok, through Instagram, and through the Zoom app and all that. It's very different from what we used to have 20 years ago because we didn't know it was going to come to this, right?
Oh yeah.
And with social media right now, how has social media been a branding tool personally for you, and getting to meet people and all that?
Yeah, I keep thinking like how this quarantine would look 20 years ago,
Right.
and I thought like really bored, right? um, because even being like face to like right now, like I this isn't the same as being in the room with you, but I feel like because of this video connection,
Exactly.
feels like something we never could have thought about 20 years ago.
That's right. That's
Uh,
right.
Social media has changed everything, and I think what I love about it is I feel like it democratizes things, right? So, for instance, in entertainment, in music and dance and whatever it might be, there's a coastal, in the United States at least, there's a coastal bias, New York and Los Angeles,
Right.
right? Or it might look in England, it's London, or France, it's Paris, right?
Exactly.
And what this has done is it's created a culture and a community where like it doesn't matter where you live, you can create a brand, you can create a name for yourself, right? So like
Very true.
look at like the TikTokers or dub smash dancers on Instagram. Most of them don't live, in a major, or not a major. They live in major cities, but they don't live in New York, and they don't live in Los Angeles,
You're right.
right? Because you don't have to live in those places anymore, right?
You can be wherever you want to be.
Right. I think that's something that's really interesting to to think about, right? You don't have to move to New York to make it, right? I mean, you can still move to New York, but
If you want to.
but not the end all place to be if you want to do something in entertainment or the arts or even business, right? Because social media has allowed that to happen. And the other thing I really love about it is that um, it's a place where you can really shape and find a supportive community, right?
Right.
And I mean, most of the people that I'm interacting with on Instagram, I've never met in real life, but they're people I think about all the time, and they're people that I like draw inspiration from. They're people that I try to support as much as I can, right? Some of them
Right.
are here, right? Uh,
Yes.
but again, that's something that we couldn't have done before, or it would look different, right? It would just be looking different.
That's very true.
Social media has been great, and I mean, I'm on Twitter's my like favorite,
Okay.
and every one of them I'm on is different, right? And
Very true.
you get like kind of a different side of Dr. Boffone. My Twitter is mostly I'm followed by theater people, by literature people,
Okay.
or people that like know me, and so you
Right.
get a lot of different stuff there. Uh, and then here you get the dancing stuff and the
That's
education
right.
stuff. So it's fun. It's fun.
Amazing. So from the discussion we had today, I can tell a couple of things from what we discussed about you, and I'll list what I have in writing here. First, you're an extreme optimist, which means you're very optimistic about life, right?
Yep.
Very authentic, which means you developed a unique culture, a unique brand that we were able to also have other people be a part of, and
Right.
people enjoy what you do as a unique person. You also made a statement which says that every entrepreneur or future leader out there needs to find out what their creativity is, which means they have to find out something that really makes them who they are, as opposed from who somebody thinks they are. So,
Right.
right, you might look like something and people expect you to be this person, but you know who you really are. And when you find that creativity and you are able to put it out there, that's what really makes you who you are as a person.
Right.
And the next thing I also learned is that you talked about people finding a support system. The support system is what will, help them get to where they are going. Because
Right.
without the support, I don't think it's going to be easy for any one of us to get what we're really looking towards in life. Because we always need people out there, one way or the other.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need you as, I needed you to be here today, and you're a support system right now, which is why we're having this conversation, and people are really learning from this.
Right.
Then a whole lot of students are still showing a whole lot of love online. Trust me, and they're saying you're the best teacher they ever had. You do good with students. You're an amazing person. They're talking about you. There's so much love out here. So I can tell from all this that you're really doing a great job at what you do. And I really commend you for being the person you are and being that leader that you are, because you're really helping a whole lot of people, trust me, become better persons in their life. And this is something very amazing. And it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come
Yep.
easy. You're welcome. Now, The last question I'm gonna ask, it's not a question, it's just about, you know, you personally talking about your parting expressions. Like, after everything said and done today, this is what I want to tell this person out there who's looking up to me right now. After all said and done today, this is what I want to tell this person that they can do right now.
The thing I go back to, and it's not, I think it's Gandhi who said it, was be the change you wish to see in the world.
Right.
I think it was Gandhi or Nelson Mandela. I don't.
One of them.
Someone far more important than me. But be the change you wish to see in the world. And so what I say is, you know, any space that I go into, I hope that I've left it in a better place, right? So even if I were to go work at a different school next year, or I don't know, be a professional wrestler, like I would hope that I've left my school where I'm at now in a better place, right? Whether it's educating the students in a certain way or working with teachers to help them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being part of this show. Now, what we do on this show is we tell people about the journey of people out there, you know, people who are doing something good with their lives and richly benefiting from what they do and are proud of what they do, right? That way other people can relate with them and follow through their journey. Because trust me, a whole lot of people out there are lost. A whole lot of people don't know what to do tomorrow or what they should do the next minute. And a whole lot of people need guidance from, you know, people they look up to. Now, if people look up to someone and the person is someone who doesn't even believe in himself, how is he going to be able to share something with somebody else that's going to improve their lives or make them be better people?
Yeah.
Which is why we all have to be able to, you know, develop ourselves as much as we can and, you know, connect with as much people as we can, learn as much as we can so that we can give out something substantial to people out there. Because we have a generation of people we have to help get to the next level in life. And it is so commendable that you're one of these people who is a pioneer at doing something that people look up to. Thank you so much for what you do. And thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you can hear me right now. Oh, I think I lost connection. Okay, let me see if I can get the volume back. Maybe it's the location where I'm at right now. I can't seem to hear you anymore, but it's okay. I can hear you, but it's fine. It's fine. The good thing is we're done with the show. Thank you so much. Oh, so I lost him right at the end of everything. I guess it's with my reception. It's reception generally. I don't know where this problem came out from, but thank you so much, guys, for being part of this. Thank you for joining us today. We do have this show, you know, every week. We talk to different people out there who are able to encourage us with their journey so far. And just like, you know, Trevor, Dr. Boffone, we still have a whole lot of people who are going to come here and be on this show and tell us about their journey. So guys, you want to follow, and thank you so much, Dr. Boffone, for being here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the fact that you were here. I was wishing you were going to be here for a couple minutes to answer a couple of questions that people asked, but it's good. We're going to have you on the show again some other time. Hope you have a very wonderful evening, and thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Take care. Be good out there. Stay safe, you know, and we're going to see you again tomorrow.